Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you joining us. I'm going to go through some slides. I'm going to explain a few things and introduce some people. And we're really going to talk about why we're here, where we've been, and where we're going, and the importance of why we're here before we get to where we're going. Okay, so just bear with me. First of all, I'd like to recognize that CE Center here. Will you please stand and thank you for your support. They've been instrumental in supporting everything that we've needed. Any district, staff, and leaders, any campus leaders, if you would please stand. Thank you so much for being here. Important to us, so that's why we're here. And then we have Coach Davila and we have Porfirio Mendez. They're over there standing guard because I'm security right here. Any elected officials that are here? Okay, any elected officials? Or law enforcement leaders, please stand. The task force? He just gave us $5,000 donation. Come on over here to help us. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce our new safety team, okay, school safety team. And what happened was about a week before the Uvalde incident happened, I don't know, for some reason, I felt like we just needed more security. And thankfully, we were able, with the support of the board, to increase the pay to help us get some quality candidates. And a lot of Brahma alumni stepped up. You know, we can count on these Brahmas, these brave bulls. And if they weren't brave bulls before, they are now. Okay? They got to us quickly, but most of them are. So I'd like to introduce them. Quickly, we've got Arnold Pettis. He is our lead security for the district. We've got Jason Yaya. He's the lead for Gillette. We've got Gaspar Ramirez.
Maybe some of it.
We also have David Galindo. Mr. Galindo will be at Gillette, Mr. Gadial, and then Mr. Ramirez will be at H.M. King with Mr. Pettis. And then we have Albert Munoz. He will be in charge of the elementary, okay? Now, some people have asked, are we just having one to rotate the elementaries? Right now, the school hasn't started. We have kept the position posted, and we looked yesterday morning, and we have a few other candidates that have applied. So we'll be conducting interviews next week to see if maybe we can hire them at least, you know, for at least a couple of years and hopefully continue to fund them. But we're looking for quality candidates. One of the questions I was asked was, how come there are no females? Okay, no females apply. Okay, so if there are any females out there, we'll take you. You know, if you're qualified, come on over and apply. All righty, we also have my two right hands. We'll have Dr. Sandoval. He is overseeing safety. He's our assistant chief. And also there Dr. Besanais, who takes care of the instructional side of the house. and I always look to Maya Angelou about this quote: do the best you can until you know better. Then, when you know better, do better. And we have definitely learned a lot through the school shootings. If we look at this photo, we see the room 111 students. That was her room number. The one teacher that survived and 11 of his students that did not. And before we begin, I would like to just take a moment of silence to remember them and remember why we're here, everybody who cares. Thank you. I run across this interview that Mr. Reyes did as a teacher, and he said that he had explained that under the school's protocols for school shootings, they train the students to sit under their desks, and he described failures in the school's emergency protocols. No training, he said, would ever prepare anybody for this. It all happened too fast. Training, no training, all kinds of training, nothing gets you ready for this. And I just copied and pasted from the report, so I know, you know. But that is very important to remember, because the children did hide under their desks because they were trained from previous school shootings. It worked for those, but every school shooting is different. And we come to you right now to let you know what we're planning and what we've been working on. But we cannot guarantee 100% that our protocols are going to work. It's like when you have a child. I'm a mom. I have a child, and my job is to protect that child. But there's no guarantee that my child is not going to fall and hurt themselves in the pool. You do the very best you can, and that's what we can guarantee, is we're going to continue to do better, okay? Okay, now, I don't know if many of you have seen this, but it is the report from the Bond Elementary School attack. And the Texas School Safety Center, they did an investigation. And I just wanted to read some of it. I have to use my handout because my glasses. And I need you to kind of just listen to some things that we're learning from. Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, was attacked on May 24, 2022. The attack resulted in 21 fatalities, 19 students and 2 teachers, and 17 injuries. And then they give a detailed timeline. At 11:27, a female teacher exits the exterior door. In the West Hall property, the door opened with a lock to prevent it from closing behind her. At 11:28, 1 minute later, the suspect becomes involved in a motor vehicle crash in a dry canal near the elementary school. 2 people from a nearby business approached the crash scene at 11:29. So if you're a business owner or a community member near an elementary school, middle school, high school, whatever school, pay attention to this part, please, because it is so important. It is not just about the schools protecting kids, it's about the entire community. At 11:29, female 1, because they noted the 2 females. Female 1 returns through the west entry, deliberately kicking the rock from the door jamb. Female 1 pulls the door shut and continues to look out the exterior door as she is frantically speaking on her cell phone. And if you have children here and you don't want them to hear some of this, you can walk out and then just come back in. I completely understand, because it is hard to read. Female 1 attempts to enter a door on the south side of the west hallway, only to find it locked. Female 1 knocks on the door, and it was eventually answered by female 2. Female 1 appears to advise female 2 of the emergency, whereupon female 2 re-enters her room and secures the door. Female 1 moves into a room closet closest to the exit on the north side of the hallway. Female 1 re-enters the hallway numerous times, yelling down the hall for students to get into their classrooms. Prior to the suspect's entry into the building at 11:33, so it's only been, what, 4 or 5 minutes? According to statements, a Uvalde police officer on scene at the crash site observed the suspect carrying a rifle outside the West Hall entry. The officer, armed with a rifle, asked his supervisor for permission to shoot the suspect. However, the supervisor either did not hear or responded too late. The officer turned to get confirmation from his supervisor, and when he turned back to address the suspect, he had entered the west hallway unabated. At 11:33, the suspect enters the school from the exterior door in the west hall while holding a rifle. The suspect looked around the hallway and then continued to walk down the west hallway before turning right. At 11:32, the suspect made entry into what appears to be classroom 111, where those students were. Immediately, children's screams could be heard along with numerous gunshots in the classrooms. The rate of fire was initially very rapid and then slowed, lasting only a few seconds. The task force that, well, actually it was the ALERT program that did this investigation said we identified 3 key issues that occurred prior to the suspect gaining entry into the building. First, a teacher popped open the exterior door at 11:27. The ALERT staff noted rocks, some of which were painted, were placed at most of the external doors of the building. Based on this observation, it appears that propping doors open is common practice at this school. While the teacher did kick the rock and close the door prior to the suspect making entry, and the popping open of the door did not affect what happened in this situation, circumventing the access control procedures can create a situation that results in danger to students. After the teacher closed the door, she did not check to see if the door was locked. Perhaps this is because the door is usually locked. However, on this day, the door was not locked. And because it was not locked, the attacker was able to immediately access the building. This again highlights the importance of not circumventing access control procedures. Even if the teacher had checked to see if the door was locked, it appears that she did not have the proper key to engage the locking mechanism of the door. So we're talking about prop doors with rocks, we're talking about not having key access. We received information from the investigating officer that the lock on room 111 had been reported damaged multiple times. However, this has not been confirmed with work orders at this time. Regardless, the suspect is seen entering that room, exiting the room, and then re-entering the room again prior to officers entering the building at 11:35. The only way to engage the lock is to insert a key from the hallway side of the door. At no point is the suspect observed entering the hallway and entering and engaging in the locking mechanism. Based on this, we believe that the lock to room 111 was never engaged. That's one reason we have Mingo here, because it is so important that our work orders are followed through, right? And that we receive that information. So let's go back to a shooting that occurred before this one, because there's been multiple shootings, okay? So this shooting that I was familiar with, this was just 4 years ago in 2018, it was the Santa Fe High School shooting. At the time that happened, I was a high school principal in Corpus Christi, and I was so frustrated about what had happened, it's just like everybody else was. But I feel that our students may have some answers for us adults that haven't been able to fix this type of crime. So I asked 2,100 students. So I asked every single one of them, write something during texting time, which now we have rant time. Give us some advice, some suggestions about what you think will help keep our schools safer, because this is your world. Because of that, I was able to invite some legislators to ask them to look at some of the suggestions that they had made. And Governor Abbott, at the time, he held his first roundtable. So this is the Texas Tribune back in 2018. And I'm right there in the corner, you see Dan Patrick and the governor and all those folks there. He asked educators, law enforcement, just mental health professionals to join this roundtable, asking for some suggestions. So what I did was I took my students' suggestions, and those are the ones that I suggested. So I said, these are what the kids are suggesting. I'm not hearing anything else different from the adults, so I might as well let you know what the kids are saying. At the end of the roundtable, I started taking notes, because when he said, here are some ideas that we gathered, he said at least 7 of the ones that I had recommended from my students. It was staffing ratios. We need smaller class sizes. We need to get to know our kids better. Starting in kinder, we need to start talking to our kids and really learning about who are they wanting to hang with. Just really starting to connect with them. Don't wait. Interventions, we need to get in there quick. Student voice. Parents need to be held accountable. Kids said these things. Increasing counselors and interventions. And then how about the Ring Act? Okay, at that time, the Ring Act had just become popular, and we looked at some of the things like that. So let's go back to why we're here. We're here because of what occurred with Uvalde. It was already on our minds, but of course, this has definitely escalated in the sense of urgency. I met with some students because I really believe in meeting with students and hearing from their voice. And it's Noah and Adriana that I called in from H&M King High School. And they gave some really good ideas on a podcast that they were invited to participate in about school safety. And Noah Resendez had a really, really good idea that I picked up on. He said, people are turning a blind eye on social media posts. Most shooters post before they act on it. And it's true, but we're not taking those things seriously. Right after that, we met with state and local elected officials. After the state of the district, we met with J.M. Lozano, Representative J.M. Lozano. And when I say we, I mean the superintendent from Ricardo, the superintendent from Rivera, and the superintendent from SGA. She wasn't available, but we got her input before we had the meeting. Representative J.M. Lozano met with us for about 4 hours. He was in no hurry to leave. And we gave them some things that we need help with. Money. And then we'll talk about why we need that money. We need that funding. Funding can come to us, but if it's through a grant, there's a lot of red tape, mounds of red tape. If you can come to us through an allotment, that is so much easier and quicker to be able to implement and use. And my CFO right there, he's like, yes, please, preach it. Because he knows all the paperwork it takes just to be able to purchase some of the things that we need to purchase, you know. And thankfully, it looks like the legislators are wanting to support us. But we just kind of need to let them know this is the best way they can help us. Claiborne County Judge Madrid and Sheriff Kirkpatrick met with us as well. Shortly after that, it was the next day after that. So this started going quickly. And I would like to ask Judge Madrid to come up here and say a few words about that meeting and how he's pursuing to help us.
First of all, I want to thank you, Dr. Benson. It was a pleasure to work by your side. We called a meeting together a couple months ago, and we included all the superintendents in Territory County. And as your marching orders, and the marching orders were that we need to come together as a community, as a county, and really put our minds together and collaborate all the resources to ensure the safety of our students before day one. And I got to tell you, last year you guys took the Rainbow Bowl by the horns and ran with the idea, and so did all our other superintendents and and school board leaders and across that community. So I really want to commend them for their efforts because they really are being proactive on this, at a time of post-pandemic, and we really want to be focusing on academics for our children, and really want to focus on attracting students to the school district. And then to me, this is like another pandemic that is in the nation, and we have to deal with this. So we've got to take it just as seriously as we did COVID. And for those of you that know me, we always want to be ahead of the game on this. So I'm really thankful for your efforts. And what I can assure you is this: when it comes to Fairfield County, we have an amazing law enforcement team. We talk about our sheriff's office, our task force team, our constables, the city police, and the community, our highway patrol, our border patrol. I can assure you that they have their marching orders and they share the same passion that we do to ensure the safety of the community, of the entire community. There will never be a time where there's a delay in Fairfield County. If there's ever a call, whether it's a false alarm, whether it's a real alarm, if the alarm goes off, Fairfield County is going to stop at nothing. We're going to stop in our tracks. We're doing it off face. We're going to head towards the schools. No matter if it's a school, if it's a home, we know it's real. And unfortunately, this is happening in our own community. And we're going to be here at your side. 100%. You can always come on us. It's just when you look at these guys, these are all. This is it. And these are all the peers of all the law enforcement in Fairfield County, and they're literally expecting to call as we hear you. We've got some other. We've got folks that law enforcement, the task force to donate money to help the school district, Fairfield County. We're proposing contributions as well. Right now, I'm negotiating with a company that we are working with. Idea was to bring identification managers to all staff, all school staff members in the entire county, so that did make up the idea of something we did when I was in Afghanistan and the military. It's basically an identification hanger. If there's a trouble call going out, boom, you hit that, and you could be on the north end of high school, and you got the quarterdeck next to the office, and they don't know what's going on back in the ag shop. Somebody hits that panic button, they know that something's going on. Everybody stops what they're doing, locks down. You guys are doing active shooter training and all that good stuff, so they know immediately. All the instructors know, hey, this is not a drill, and whether it's a drill or not, boom, the kids start going into place. Let law enforcement come and do what they do best, and they know exactly. They have a GPS system that knows exactly where that instructor or that lunch lady or that maintenance director or the yard guy is out there. So those are ideas we're coming up with some fence things and things of that nature. County got some good money that we got from the state post COVID with the whole ARPA money that I've been speaking to our commissioners about intimately on how we can use some of that money to help the school district and ensure the safety of our students. And as your county judge, I can tell you, we're going to stop to do that. So God bless you. God bless you what you're doing. I apologize. I got to leave early because I have to get space for another bill,
Okay, so shortly after that, like this week as well, we met with Police Chief Torres, and he's going to come towards the end because he has some really good recap of some things that we need to discuss as well. But I want to make sure you all are aware. Police Chief Torres has been right there with us, and so is Sheriff Patrick. So one of the things that Judge alluded to was we are looking for a universal communication device. This is just one example. It's not saying we're going to use this one, okay? The task force has an example of one. There's so many that are coming out right now. And we want to make sure that what we choose is quality. And we're not just buying something just quickly just to buy it. We want something that works, okay? The communication device we're hoping, like this one, is it's like a lanyard that we talked about. It's a little, it's like a badge. And you can press it if there's an active shooter, and anybody can. And it'll activate everyone, all the law enforcement, us, etc. So we're looking for something like that, all right? So questions that have arisen, okay? Well, let's go over some of those, and then if you all have some questions, we have a microphone up here so you can ask them as well. If we don't have an answer for you right away, that's why we're here. We want to hear from you. We're going to research them, with the authorities, and then I'm going to post something on our website or on our social media site. It'll be a Q&A to give you some answers. If you still have questions, you know that you can just email us. Okay? So one of the things that was asked was, why is the safety team and not the SROs? Okay? The SROs are under the direction of our sheriff, and they're so wonderful because when we need them on a time when a student or adult has committed a crime, they react to that. They can press charges if somebody's got into a fight, things like that. However, if I need somebody to go check the gates, make sure they're locked. I need you to go into the restrooms and see if, there's any kids in there that could possibly start fighting. I need you to get to know all the kids because I want them to be able to have confidence in you to report to you some things. If in the hallways, we know that this area seems to be the area where kids are skipping. That may be important to us, but maybe the SROs think they need to be somewhere else because there could be a potential something else. So I'm able to let our safety team know, and they're able to let me know, where do I need to be? Based on what I'm seeing, this is where I need to be. Okay, got it, Dr. Bettis. If I say I need you to go to Harrell Elementary, if I call Arnold Bettis, and I say I need you to go to Harrell Elementary because Albert Munoz, he's at Pettis Elementary. Boom, he goes, because there's a potential that something could happen. Doesn't mean something has actually happened. So these are much more available to us. However, anything we need, I know the SROs and I know the police are going to be the first ones to get there if there's an active shooter or something, because they're going to communicate with them. We've also been communicating about the fact that, okay, we have the sheriff's office, the police, the city police, we have our team there. Who's going to be the one to go into that room like what happened at Uvalde? And they pretty much all said, the person we get there is going to go in there, and we're all going to back them up. We're not going to retreat. This is a terrible learning experience, and we're going to ask questions at the very, very end. Okay, please say it though, because I want to answer the questions. Okay, I just want to make sure to go through all the questions in case people have to leave before. So armed security. The last board meeting or a couple of board meetings ago, we hired the safety team. I believe the Kingsville record right here. The question was asked, are they going to be armed? And I said no. However, we're going to pursue Marshall or Guardian program and research that to see if that's something that we can do. But the newspaper stopped at no. And so people thought that was it. No, that was not it. There was a little bit more to the story, and that is the fact that they are going to be getting trained through the Guardian program, so that way they can be armed. I do not believe in teachers being armed because teachers have enough stress on their mind with having to instruct children. Okay? And can you imagine if one of their own children came up to be the shooter? They have that passion for that kid. And having to shoot that student, that's a lot to ask for a teacher. We already give them enough pressure. Who are our teachers here? Are y'all here? Stand up. Y'all are heroes for us too. Thank you so much. So we are going to have our safety team. A few other leaders of the district are going to be trained as well. Not everybody needs to know who is armed, okay? But just know we're going to work on making sure that we have as much protection as possible, okay? While the police and the sheriff's department get in there. Other thing, clear backpacks. Are you going to get asked to clear backpacks? That was a lesson I learned from being a principal with 2,000 kids, okay? When the Santa Fe thing happened, right away people said, that's it, we're going to get clear backpacks. And then we started getting the questions. Well, how about my athletic bag? And how about my band hall instrument case? And how about my ROTC, case for the rifles, or I'm not sure what they're called, simulators or something. So then it was like endless. But my daughter needs this. I don't want her carrying, certain things in the clear backpack for everybody to see. So we have to be cognizant of that. So what we are going to do is make sure we're doing random bag checks, whether it's a backpack, the instrument bag, that leather bag, whatever it is, it's going to be some random ones by our safety team. And it'll be through a process, so it's not gonna be, you're always picking on my kid, that's not what this is about. This is about, we may say every third student coming in today. Tomorrow it's gonna be every fifth student, tomorrow's every seventh. However, if we suspect something, we're calling them in and checking the facts. We'll call the parents, okay, let them know. Metal detectors, metal detectors is another thing that was a quick fix that people wanted to do during the Santa Fe shooting and other shootings. And what it doesn't prevent is students using anything else in the building to hurt someone else, okay? Science equipment, there's some sharp objects there, things like that. And they learn safety in their science classes the whole first week of school. But it's not going to prevent everything like that. So we are looking at some software that could potentially capture if somebody has started or if somebody has something. Again, there's a bunch of software coming out and we're vetting through them. Dr. Vasquez Cruz has been instrumental in helping us do that. Bomb dogs. The sheriff's office has been very good about helping us if we need the drug dogs or if we need the dogs who sniff out potential bombs or bomb threat. So they've stepped up to the plate and help us every time, every time, but still. Technology upgrades. We are getting the badges. We'll have access to get in. And yesterday when we met with the police, we already started it where our tech department is using their cards and programming them with our program. That way when they come onto the campuses, they can just get in. They don't have to wait for any of us to go and give them a key. They don't have to go anywhere to check the doors. And even the police chief said, this is gonna be great because maybe on weekends, they're doing their patrolling, they notice something in the building or something doesn't look right, they can just go in and check for us. So I appreciate that type of technology. Cameras, live surveillance. Okay, cameras, we have, where's Dr. Lester? At the high school, we have 165 cameras that we've upgraded. At Gillette, we have 42, and elementaries, about 16? 16 to 19 each. About how many? About 50 at Harvey, they're the newer. So we're continuing to upgrade. We just got a wonderful grant today for over $926,000 to upgrade our internet and laptops. Every single teacher's gonna have a laptop, things like that. So we are working on that. When I say live surveillance, that means these guys right here are gonna be walking around continuously. They're live. We're not having to wait to go to a camera and see what happened. Hopefully they're gonna see what's gonna happen or what is happening. And their sole purpose is walk on campus. I mean, when we moved Mr. Jason Gaillard from the high school to Gillette, because we needed his help, everybody was like, no, we need Jason, he's so good. But he goes to Gillette, and I mean, Gillette was just like, oh my God, thank God. He is everywhere. He doesn't sit down. He's all over the place. Looking, checking restrooms, getting to know the students, things like that. So that's what I mean by live surveillance. It's like current. POPs. I'm going to talk about POPs, and that's POPs on patrol, okay? Or parents on patrol. And then our KPD, I'm talking about the cameras that we've been talking about, and even the task force that told us about. There's an app that we're trying to get it to where they're going to be able to tune into our cameras from where they're at, or from where their phones are. So that's in the works as well. Hardening of schools. You'll hear that word a lot. How are you hardening your schools? And that again started way after Santa Fe. And what it means is you're trying to keep people from entering. Well, if y'all remember, I believe it was in the White House that got breached. So we're going to try to tighten tighter than the White House. Fencing. That was one of the things that Judge Madrid had asked. Is like, what is it that every school district needs when we first met with him? And one of the things I said was our high school really needs a fence, around it. And so we were looking at that. So when we're talking about money, I'm already telling you all about fencing, I'm telling you about law, I'm telling you about software, so all those things can be possible. Locked doors, no entry, and gates. Hold on, I need to sip of my Dr. Porter, sorry. That is a worry, okay? I was reading the report and you saw how it was kind of common that they kept the doors propped open. That does happen, not just at that school in Uvalde, it happens for convenience. I want to walk all around the building, or it's too far. Well, we've got to tighten it. And it's no longer going to be acceptable. If we see a propped door, we will have cameras, we will see what it is, and there will be documentation immediately. We are not going to put up with that. Sorry. Our kids cannot compromise that. So it's going to be a little uncomfortable, but we need it to be because of the safety of our kids. It just has to be that way. The gates, I know it takes longer, especially if you're coming from that side. They didn't Chick-fil-A, you want to do that. Sorry, you can go over around because we're going to keep those back doors locked. And everybody's going to be responsible for that. All of our coaches, everybody who has a classroom outside, everybody who wants it, everybody in the community. Access cars, that's what I was talking about a while ago. Now the H.M. King High School track, if we're going to do, what we're going to do now is we're going to keep it closed to the public from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. The track's not that great, we need a better track, just so you know. But it's a bit of possibility that, but we're going to have to keep it closed because it is too easy for somebody to be walking the track, pretending to be walking the track, and really they're scoping out how they can get into the building. So we have to. We just have to, okay? It'll be open after 6 p.m. And this is just on school days. Outdoor classes, there's been questions about, okay, how about if we have a class at the ag building, or how about we have a class at band hall, or the gym, or wherever, Dr. Williams, where is Dr. Williams? There she is, H.M. King principal. She has already started meeting with the security, and she has already got a map of monitors that are going to be out there. So there is a system that's going to be in place. And we'll roll that out to all the parents and the staff, of course, of H.M. King. I need visuals sometimes, so that way I can learn it better or really understand what's happening. But they are definitely on that for sure. Signage, we're going to have a lot of signage all around the building. That costs money too, to let them know. Enter through the front, nobody enters without ID, can't use the track between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m., things like that. So we'll have plenty of signage. Vestibules, so what's a vestibule? That was another word that came out of the Santa Fe shooting. The vestibules are the little areas before you enter the main building, where you kind of have to be buzzed in. When we met with Governor Abbott, that was one of the things that was suggested by one of the groups that were there. And it was to just have another line of defense, another line of hardening before they got to the rest of the building. And it said that all new construction of buildings must have a vestibule, and then those that weren't in new construction had a certain amount of time to get those vestibules built. That's money as well. Luckily, we don't have a bunch of outdoor wing schools like some other districts do. I really feel sorry for some of the other districts, they have to deal with that. Most of our schools they have that, okay? That's a big help. It is an inconvenience, especially when we have awards assemblies and people are having to come in and check in. But again, if you know you're going to be there, get there early, so you can check in, okay? And at the same time, keeping our kids as safe as possible. Car registrations. At the high school and anywhere else that anybody's going to park, we're going to have them register their cars. This way, our safety officers will be able to see if there's a strange car in the campus that doesn't belong here. And all the staff will also have to register their cars. We haven't decided on is it going to be a donation of $5 by the students or not. We haven't decided that yet. Usually it's a club that raises money that way, okay? Like the student council, that's how it used to be done previously. But we haven't decided that yet. I just need to let you know we are going to be registering all vehicles, and we have to have a vehicle registered if you're going to go park at any of the KISD sites. Okay? Now, if it's a visitor, you're going to make sure we have enough visitor parking and that we don't have staff parking in those visitor areas, because that's how we can monitor how many visitors we have on campus. Of course, this is on any normal day. Now, if you have, again, awards assemblies or games or things like that, that's a little different, and that's when we have to bring out all, the safety team, like they'll all be here. For instance, if we're having something here at the high school in the evening, even though Mr. Munoz is at elementaries, or Mr. Galindo and Mr. Daniel are at middle school, we're gonna have them all here, things like that. Football games, we're gonna make sure they're with us as well at the football games, okay? And other games too, other games. Okay, so what's the POPS program? Parents on Patrol. It's a voluntary program similar to a neighborhood watch program, except that the neighborhood is our school campus. You can register through the KISD Volunteers in Public Schools program by emailing Dr. Sandoval, and there's this email address, and we'll have information on our website as well. A person must complete a background check through the KISD Human Resources Department, and you must submit your ID via the Raptor system. So what could these POPs do, okay? And some of you may have heard of it as watchdogs. Those are happening at other districts. We're calling them POPs, okay, for Parents on Patrol. And that's where, let's say you have some time during the day where you say, you know what, mark me down for, I don't know, 10 to 12 every morning. I want to go walk around the high school, not the track, but around the high school. And I can be an extra set of eyes for you, okay? And be able to communicate and have direct connection with our safety officers to make sure that you can give them some information too. It's just the whole community together being able to do something like that, okay? In any crisis, we have to prepare for the worst. We have to know our students, no excuses. They are our eyes and ears of our schools. We have brain time at every campus, and that's about 13 minutes of time that we have carved out in the bell schedules at every campus, where it's smaller groups of students, which would be no more than 15, with an adult, a teacher, or any staff member. And they get to know that adult very well because they meet them every single day. And it's not structured for testing, for learning something new, other than things that I send sometimes through Brain Time. I send prompts, I send writings, I ask them to write letters sometimes, and that's how we get to know our kids. Talk with your kids and their friends. Know what triggers them. Parents, you are a huge piece of this team. Many of the shooters did not have that connection with their parents. If you listen to the interviews from the parents of the shooters, they will say, I had no idea. How did you not know, that your kid had all these guns in his bedroom? Pretend you're going to clean it, the room, and look. There are all sorts of ways. I know, I have teenagers, okay? You find ways to find out what is happening in their lives, okay? They don't want to show you their phone, don't pay the bill, okay? And they won't have a phone. So there are hard decisions you're going to have to make as a parent, but you are their parent and their protector, just like us. And we need you to do your part in that. We really, really need your help with that. Threat assessment team, practice drills. We're going to reflect and refine on those. We are looking at the protocols we have. As you know, we have done active shooter drills for the past couple of years. We're also getting training on the threat assessment, and that is August, 16th, I think. We're conducting intruder audits. So already our safety team, they just started, how many days ago? Monday. Okay, 4 days ago. And they've already started doing audits of every campus. They've been meeting with the principals. They've been walking the campuses. They've been numbering the exterior doors and other doors, all the little nooks and crannies of the buildings. They're going to talk to students. I said, talk to the students and find out where are the hiding places, okay? And they will tell you if they have a connection with you. Why? Because they ultimately do want to be safe, okay? Work with law enforcement to establish communication system, and that's what we're doing. Threats, are they credible or are they not credible? Again, social media has just exploded, right? And you cannot believe everything you see on social media. Please don't, because it's not all fact. And one of the words of the day for Brain Time was credible. I wanted the kids to understand what credible means. If it's not credible, then why are you paying attention to it, okay? So please make sure that when you are monitoring your child's social media or they report something, that we have to make sure it's credible. And sometimes people will start calling, they'll say, I heard that GMS was gonna have a bomb. Right away, got with our police officer, because that happened, something similar to that, similar. He started researching all of that, and we found out the GMS was at the Valley. You know, that was one time a few months ago. So it wasn't a credible threat. GMS may be GMS to us as Gillette, but it wasn't. It was the GMS and I think it was McAllen or Edinburgh, one of those areas. I'm not sure which one, but somewhere like that. Robocalls. If we're having, like, if they say, okay, a school is, the fire drill has gone off, or we feel there's something that's happening there, our first response is to go find out what is happening. Sometimes within 5 minutes, social media has it out there, and people are calling me saying, where's the robocall? I haven't even got to school yet. I'm on my way, I can't answer my phone, and I cannot make a robocall. Because I'm trying to find out, are any of my kids hurt? Okay? And my first job is to make sure your kids, our kids, are not hurt. And then, when I have credible information, I try to send it out as quickly as possible. So know that. It's not that we're trying to ignore you, it's that we're trying to find out the facts and what is happening. I'm a parent and I'm a grandparent, and I know I want to know as soon as possible what is happening. So I get it. I totally get it. I just want you to know, maybe we can find some other way to be able to find out the information and make sure we're not adding to the confusion. Because I don't want any more confusion to be added. We learned a lot from the Uvalde incident. There was a lot of miscommunication. There was a lot of wrong information. And we need to learn from that. We don't want that to happen over here at KISD. So if you could please help us with that, okay? Prepare for the aftermath. So we are providing some guidance. Dr. Bessanice and her mental health team, we now have an LSSP, and we have our behavior specialist that we hired, and I thank our board for supporting us on that. Again, we hired them even before this happened. We know what kids need. I went through the experience of Santa Fe. I've learned a lot of things from those events. The Silver Spring, the Marjorie Stone, and all of those that happened. I was on the board of the Texas School Safety Center. So all these things were drafted with a lot of participation that I got to participate in, thank God. So some of these things that I'm saying are directly from the experiences we heard when we interviewed people from Santa Fe, or people from Marjorie Stone, or people from any of the other shootings that occurred. So we want to make sure we have guidance and scenarios before the crisis occurs. We also need it for our office staff, because we know people are going to be calling saying what's happening, and we need to make sure that our office staff is not getting rattled, because it's a scary situation. And we're going to try to help them make sure they disseminate the information as accurately as possible. Okay? But again, we're all human, they're human, it's a scary time, but we are going to do the best we possibly can. We're going to access our district crisis team, devise and communicate a reunification plan for kids and parents. That's big, okay? We've talked about how if an active shooter is in the building, let's say they were at Pettis Elementary, and some of the active shooters ended at Pettis Elementary. The reunification plan may be the domes over here, because it's the closest big area where we can have parents meet us there, and we're running the kids over there, okay? Where we have an area where the EMS is going to be there. But we are working those plans with EMS, again, with KPD, with our sheriff, with our judge, okay? Our safety team is. We are using our crisis team to provide real mental health counseling. What's wonderful about, I call them my sister suits, we call it the sister suits, is I can call on Rivera, I can call on SGA, I can call on Ricardo, I can call on Bishop, superintendents, and if we need something, we can call on each other and we'll get it. There was an instance that happened at one of those school districts, and right away that morning at 6 in the morning, since I found out about it, we offered our counselors, do you need extra counselors? And so we know that the mental health of our children is key, but also our staff. This is a very scary time for our staff, and we need to make sure we're there for them. This year, we also added the 6 free counseling sessions for all of our staff members, confidential, because we know this is a very stressful time. Therapy dogs. I've used therapy dogs before. And last year I wanted to bring them in, but because of COVID, there had been a problem. So I'm hoping we're gonna be able to get back into that practice, but it seems like, I don't know, COVID numbers are kind of weird right now. So, I may wait a little while, but like stuffed animals. So we want to make sure that we're gathering things that we're gonna be able to help children cope, okay? Coping skills. We know how important that is, and I want to thank Dr. Betsy Nice for helping us with that. Okay, many shooters have attempted suicide. If you followed all the shooters, at one point they attempted suicide, or they actually killed the others and killed themselves at the time, okay? When I was on the task force with the governor, Representative Todd Hunter, he was the one who had actually nominated me to that. When my daughter was at high school, my youngest, she was a junior. 3 students had attempted suicide. 2 of them completed it within about a 6 weeks amount of time, 6 to 9 week amount of time. That was very scary. And one of the students had just eaten lunch with my daughter and went home, and her friends committed suicide that night. And all the girls, we were in Houston at a basketball tournament, all the girls found out about it. It was tragic. It was tragic because they did not have any idea. No warning signs, nothing. And so what I did, I asked Sammy, as my daughter, I said, I need to call, I called on Representative Hunter and I said, something needs to be done about this. I believe suicide has to do with school safety, since I'm on the school safety board at the time. Can we have something to help this suicide before another suicide happens? And so we gathered the task force, we did a lot of work, we listened to the students, and we found out Texas has the 2nd highest rate of teen suicide. That was alarming. The 2nd out of the whole nation. We have the 2nd highest. That was very scary. So we said, all right, let's start writing up some ideas to send, and hopefully we'll make them into law. We sent about 6 ideas, and Governor Abbott signed 2 of them into law. One of them was making September, the month of September, Suicide Prevention Month, suicide awareness, where kids can feel comfortable about talking about suicide, because that is something people don't talk about. In fact, last year I was talking to one of our counselors here, and she told me, Dr. Bettis, we never really talked about this topic. It's been kind of taboo. Well, if we don't talk about it, we're not going to find out what our kids need. And we need to learn how to talk about it. It's important. So previously, when I was in Corpus Christi, we would have a symposium every September. Once that went into law. The other law was that now Texas is gathering data on how many suicides in schools, things like that. And that hadn't been done before either. So that went into law. So last year, what we did, we held a suicide prevention symposium here in Kingsville, since I'm in Kingsville now. And Tam Bouquet, I asked them, can you help us put this on? Can we use your facility? We needed like a lot of extra space because I wanted to invite some school districts. Kingsville, Robstown, Westcosa, Rivera, SGA, Bishop, and Benavides all sent 10 students, about 10 students each. And we talked about teen suicide. And it was incredible, the stories that they told us and that they opened up to us about. And we were really able to help some of them, connect them with people who could help them. And they said, I hadn't been able to talk about this before. Okay? So we have to open up those lines of communication. We're planning another one this coming September, and this time we're going to have it here in the dome, unless for some reason COVID causes it. Okay? But we're already planning that as well. We have health professionals that are here with us as well. So if you're interested, make sure you be on the lookout for that information. Okay, live surveillance, don't turn a blind eye. That's what I said, a student said, right? Let's not turn a blind eye. Let's say something, see something, say something. If you look at our website and you see that red arrow, it says assistance with a concern. You can email a question, you can email any information there, and it's anonymous, or you can tell us who you are, whatever it is that we need to know. Also, when you look at the bottom left-hand corner, it says anonymous alerts. Those are ones that also you can report something as well. The students can report something. Every student has a laptop. We issued them in May, so every student has a laptop. So he or she can report something through that. Or if they have a close connection with their brain of time teacher, or their counselor, or anybody, any of us, they can report that to us as well. But I'm just telling you of one tool, another tool that they can use for that. Okay, for closing remarks, I would like to ask Arnold Bettis, he is our KISD lead, to say a few words, and then we're going to go on down the line, okay?
Thank you, Dr. A little louder. Okay. Right, and our law enforcement community, our partners, thank you so much for being with us. Look forward to working with you. And parents and faculty, I'm so happy to see you here. I can tell that if you showed up at this meeting where school safety and taking care of our children falls in your priority list. So I applaud you for being here. To listen to some of the ideas that we are working on. And I'm not going to get too much into the weeds, but I will touch on one area that the security team has been working on since we started on Monday. I want to commend the security team on working on the upcoming audit for the Texas Education Association. That's going to be due before we get started the school. Over the past week, we have visited and taken stock of all of our campuses, the elementary schools, the high school, Gillette. We've been making walkthroughs and looking for deficiencies based on some of the things that are that would sit there and facilitate any type of incident such as the violence. One of the things we're looking at are going to be exterior doors. We're going door by door. We're taking a look at them, looking for deficiencies. We're writing them up and we're making recommendations whether to repair, remove, and replace, or just redesign altogether. So we're hitting all the campuses. We're looking at every single door that we're documenting so that we can know exactly how the door functions or whether or not it needs to be worked on. And that's just going to be one of the audits that we're working on. So the other one's going to be a little bit more detailed. It's going to be the summer part of the summer audit. That's going to include the interior of the school system itself as far as campuses. The one thing, my main point here is that there are going to be some changes. Okay, we're going to be looking to fix things, and we're going to be looking to redesign certain things. And that might come in the form of entry into schools, as Dr. Pettis alluded to, which is going to be vestibules. You know, setting up checkpoints to vet people coming into our campuses as a visitor. The other might be traffic. And we're looking at different designs to make it more efficient and also for the safety of our children. So what I'd like for you to do is, as we're making these changes, keep up with the KISD website, which we will be putting it out for transparency. And just, I ask for your patience. Because at the beginning, we've been doing things a certain way. Well, it's time to change the paradigm. Because the time's called. Okay? So, thank you so much.
And I also asked Jason Gabriel to speak because he's been with us several years. And so he knows things, he sees things, and we ask for his advice and suggestions.
Hi, my name is Jason Gabriel. I've been here for 15 years, 7 years. I did this all alone, and wow, it was tough. That's why I thank you for forming this team here. And I want to touch on 2 points. Two things, parents, please don't drive to the back, drop off food, leave kids, pick them up. If you need to do something like that, call the front office. We're not going to hold your kids back from, we'll sign out, check your kids, just so we could account for them. In case something happens, we know so-and-so is gone, okay? And skipping is a lot. Please talk to your students, your kids, that we need them in class. Because again, if something happens, we don't know where they're at. And it's happened. There's a parent that's come, and I was going crazy, running around everywhere, trying to find one student, but the dad came up from the back. So we had no clue. Mom was upset at us, because we had no clue where her student was. But just those two little things are a major part here at CAS. I want to assure y'all that we've been going through extensive training to help keep CAS safe and keep us brand and strong. Thank you.
And he said one of the biggest problems was lunchtime. Kids trying to get away for lunch, and people bringing them lunch to drop it off. You know, we tell kids, you know, you can have Whataburger after school, okay? Or bring it the next day. Bring your own lunch. But we're trying to keep them contained, okay, keep them safe. If we have, like we had to evacuate because we had a bomb threat at the high school, and if we're funneling them somewhere where they're supposed to be, we expect every teacher to account for their kids. Okay, they're supposed to have the rosters, they're supposed to know which kids are with them. Okay, they should know if one is absent, they should know if one had left to the restroom and they can get them. That way they know, okay, I'm looking for so-and-so, just like what he said. What hurts the process is if on social media, someone is telling their kid, if you're hungry, just run across the street. Go to Chick-fil-A. You know, go to Starbucks, go to Pizza Hut, go wherever, go ahead and leave. But the teacher is frantically looking for that student. That's a big concern, and we need your help with that. We really need your help with that. We are doing this not to be mean, we're doing, and I don't need the teacher stressing more about the fact that they've lost a kid, but he's still in there, and there's a bomb in there, and runs in there to go find that kid just to find out he ran across to Walmart. Not cool. Yeah, it's not good, it's not safe. We need your help with that, please. If they want to listen to their friends and their friends say, come on, let's go, please let them know. Your friend's not going to save your life, you know? And you're too valuable to me. Please don't do that, okay? KPD, Chief Torres, he has a few words for y'all as well.
From our standpoint, obviously, what everybody wants to know is law enforcement community ready if something like this should occur? That's a good question. When did we start preparing for this? I can tell you that from the standpoint of the police department, we started preparing for this 16 years ago when Columbine first started. The alert center, which was started by Hays County Sheriff's Office, San Marcos Police Department, and Texas State University started formulating plans on how to attack school murderers. You can call them whatever else you want, they're murderers. So we actively started training our people. I was actually one of the first people that went through that particular training. And because of the way that training occurs, fortunately, we're able to get a lot of the sheriff's office staff, personnel, as well, because it takes a lot of personnel to get the training. So we are very well incorporated, we're able to do that. We continue to do that. We actually have 4 alert instructors on the Gainesville Police Department staff. We will be providing that training as well to the safety officers. They'll be going through alert with our officers next Thursday. They'll also be doing additional training. So what is our goal? Our goal obviously is, number one, we're going to come in, stop the killing. We're going directly after the killer. We will not stop. What happened in other places will not happen in Kingsville. I can guarantee you that. Further than 6 months ago, when we lost an officer, and they went actively after that killer. We had a female, and we lost Officer Sherman Alvarez Jr. in a gunfight. They took the fight to that individual. We were able to take him down. They have since been awarded the Medals of Valor by the state of Texas. So I can tell you that every man here will do that. The second thing is, after the shooting stops and we've got our killer, is we will transition to stop the dying. So every one of our officers, and we also provide training for the safety officers on SALO, which is self-aid, buddy aid. All of our officers carry quick clot Israeli bandages, tourniquets. So they will transition from actively hunting to actively trying to help the personnel that are injured. It's very different. You'll see, and I really don't want to get down into the weeds, exactly what we're doing with this. It has transitioned quite a bit from what it was 16 years ago to what law enforcement does now. We are well prepared. We have lots of equipment. I'm really excited actually in talking to Dr. Pettis, because some of the visions that I had 20 years ago, which is things like streaming live video to my officers as they arrive to a scene, I see that will probably be happening in a fairly short amount of time. Some of the different things that we talked about is us having access to buildings almost instantaneously now. We have access to every building at KISD. It's just a wonderful thing. I think it's working that progress. I think we're going to be way ahead. I see this training onto tabletops, and then eventually we'll be having some live scenarios. And I actually asked Dr. Betts about having some of the teachers involved in some of these incidents so that they know real time what's happening. It's very different. And what active shooter does is officers are actually shooting officers with wax bullets. I do not allow my officers to wear body armor. I want them to get it. I want them to know you can fight through pain. You're not going to die. You need to take action. And even then, if you're hit, you're going to die. You might as well take it out. Get the job done. So that is, we're focused to be able to get the job done. Every one of our personnel are focused that way. So I want you to know that feel comfortable. We're going to do everything we can. And every officer here will be able to tell that as well. So thank you for allowing me to speak.
To come during the drill, right? That's when they don't throw the body armor. Otherwise, I know you're talking about the wonderful body armor y'all really do get here, right? We'll make sure the whole phrase gets out there. Never knows. Okay, thank you so much. Also, if you listen to what he's talking about, that's what we learned is to stop the killing, stop the dying. We hired Mr. Galindo, and he is trained in, here he is, and he is trained in stop the bleed and what CPR training. And so we want to train our kids and our staff on that as well. Because what if they are in a classroom and somebody is dying? If they have some of those basic techniques, you never know, they could stop the bleed, or they could save somebody's life. So we appreciate that he brings that to us, okay? All right, I would also like to ask Sheriff Kirkpatrick to come up.
I just want everybody to know that we have a very strong plan moving forward into next year. Most of these security officers that are here are prior law enforcement officials. And so we know them on a first name basis. We know them. It's not like we have a relationship with them. But I want you guys to know that we have a very, very strong plan moving forward. Again, I know this sometimes gets into, we talk about sometimes this comes into a funding thing. I know that coming into next year, I know that the Sheriff's Office will be providing telephone support. These are special telephones that are designed to work with our agency and the police department in the event of any kind of critical incident. So we're going to help them out because if you guys don't know this, these things get extremely expensive. But again, we think we found this right solution. I think that's going to help them being able to communicate with each other and also being able to communicate with us. So bridging that communication gap has been a very, very difficult thing over the course of time. And so again, we want to make sure that they have the right tools that they need. Again, like I said, thank you very much. And let's go to the next person.
His name off. I put it on one of the other slides at the beginning, but we get to let Judge speak and then he has to leave. That's why. Okay. Alrighty. Also, I want to let you all know that before we end this, we have put a microphone up here for anybody who may have questions. And the reason I keep saying talking to the mic is because they're recording it. We want to be able to review it. Norma Castro, our wonderful angel over there that works with Dr. Sandoval, she's going to be scripting, looking for questions and answers, so that way we can make sure we compile a list for you. So, would anybody like to come up and ask a question? Okay, you want to come in? Thank you. Thank you. I know. I told you we would get to you. And so, answer as well. Okay?
And I apologize, it's only because I
Oh,
do
is it on?
have.
Sorry. No, I'm sorry that it took so long.
No worries. Hello, my name is Audra, and I do have a child that's in elementary currently. One of my questions to, I guess I don't know. Dr. Bettis, earlier you mentioned that our safety team would be one of the first ones to respond to an incident. At what point or how soon, let's just say, for instance, our safety team got there and there was an incident that they were keeping on. At what point is the law enforcement expedited and called? What time frame?
Okay, that's a good question, and that's why we're looking for those lanyards or have something, or another, a backup tool even, where it's automatic. It's whatever they click, it says, help. It's not gonna just come to me, or it's gonna go to all of the law enforcement around here.
And if they're not able to click the button?
Well, hopefully somebody's near them, because every staff member will be having one, not just them. Okay, 911, you know, again, still the same old tools we had as well, but the newer tools are the app, like we're looking at that app that the task force is looking for us as well, where if a teacher has a phone, they can, you know, click on that app and that'll get the help. You know, the phones that we have in the classrooms as well, we're upgrading, we already have phones in, where's our buses, please? There you go. We already have phones in every classroom and
We have, RV, where is now, we are having more phones than that. We will need remotes.
and those have panic
We are
buttons.
about 80% completion.
Those have panic buttons as well. So we're trying every means, you know, if there's a better way, like I said at the very beginning, we're gonna do a certain way, but if we find a better way, we're gonna go the better way. So that's what we're researching, what is the best way to do it. And that's why it's so important to do those drills. I'm wondering if when you talked about doing the drill, you asked about staff. I mean, I had a couple of parents that may be interested in participating in it, if that was possible, but we can talk about it, not that right now. But that might be something.
And just a little food for to touch up on what Jason was saying about going outside and picking up food. And I know because I'm guilty of this as well. I have a niece who attends HMC, and there were times where she had asked me to bring her food, and the front office had said that they would not accept outside food. And the reason why she was asking for outside food was because the cafeteria, she took her lunch at the last portion of the day, and she was getting served the same food for 2 days in a row. So that's why us as parents are going to the school to drop off food, because that is an issue. Just food for thought.
Yes, okay, so at that point, and I love you talking about food, you say food for thought. At that point, I would ask you to please talk to the principal, because our principals, we are hiring the best, we're building the capacity for the best, they want to help, and if they don't know that, then they can't help you, so please talk to them, and if for some reason you don't get a response within 24 hours, then contact our office, because any of us will help you. Okay, thank you so much, thank you. Hello?
Hello? Hello, my name is Arnold Pettis. I had a question. It was mentioned, two things that were mentioned. Funding for this type of a security team tends to get expensive. And the second one, we had one individual doing this for 7 years by himself. How long can we expect for funding to last for something like this?
Well, it is a priority. I can't speak to what was happening before, just up to when I got here. So in August, it'll be 2 years that I've been here. And what I noticed, the first year, everything was remote, so that was easier. But this last year, my first year here in person, and everybody came back in person, those are the things we were monitoring. And that's why I come up with the idea is we need more security and safety. And so working with Dr. Pitts, we looked at our budget and see what we could afford. And if there's something we've got to give that's not gonna hurt us, or this is a priority, then we're gonna do that. So we started doing that before the Uvalde incident happened. We met with the sheriff also about the SROs and how they could partner with us and how they could help us. But I don't see, and I know we have our board here, so I can't really say for sure, but As long as I'm here, it's not gonna decrease. That's all I can promise you right now, okay? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Savannah Bettis. My question is, we went over a lot of what our faculty is going to be doing in training. What about our students? What is the training for the students when we are in a situation like this?
So when they go through the threat assessment training, that's where they're gonna learn how to do better active shooter drills. They're required, and we've been doing them, but based on this last one, now we've learned better things that we need to be aware of. So let's say what Mr. Reyes had said in that room 111. He said he told all his students to duck under the table, right, under their desks. That was probably something from Columbine, way back to Columbine, that the shooters were just shooting, so in order to miss that, they were under the desks. In this situation, it didn't work. So that's where they're gonna learn more of that. Okay, so what have they learned since, and what are some better ways that we can do it? So we can do it with our students. Now, it gets very sensitive with the younger ones. I mean, you know, I have a 4-year-old grandson. I mean, to think that he has to do a drill without his shooter coming into it. I mean, we just want to protect them. So we're also learning ways that we can conduct elementary and middle and high school ways. So that is some of our research. It'll be on our active shooter operations plan. Some of the things, like you've heard them say, we're not gonna go into the weeds, because there are some things that if we expose it, then an active shooter will know exactly what to do, you know? So there are some things that we're gonna do drills on that you may not know everything about it, but we will alert you that we're gonna have a drill, okay? Now, Carroll Elementary, where are you? You'll have like an 8++++ on your last active shooter drill, you know, and everybody did really well. But, you know, we're looking for examples of some also, and we're gonna learn from each other. Okay, thank you so much. What's your name? Savannah Pettis? Anyone else? Is this without your question? You're just interrupting? No, thank you for your support. Thank you for your support.
Hi, my name is Charlene Pena. I actually am an employee of KISD, and my question is for you guys. I know that in social media it has been broadcasted that you do offer active shooter training for civilians. So can you kind of elaborate on that? Like, do we have to sign up? I know that you want to do something with the staff, the faculty for KISD, but for the community, for them to know more about it.
Right, we've transitioned Grace, citizen response to armed subject cameras. We just happen to have a really good instructor. His name is Lieutenant Daniel Salas. Probably should be a school teacher. Probably should have done that, but he does an excellent job with that. It's about 2 hours. You'll send me an email or call me. We'll go ahead and get that set up for you anytime you want. We're actually doing right now probably 6 a week right now with everything that is occurring. And with the question related to the other young lady, there is some training available for the Texas State School Safety. It's actually on YouTube. And there's a 7-minute video that talks, it's actually a teenage girl that does it. It's actually really good training that you can use for teenagers. It actually walks through and it tells what each of the SRP modules are: hold, secure, lockdown, shelter in place. It actually does a good job of that. They have transitioned a lot of their stuff on YouTube, so you can find a lot of it there.
There was a question that came to me via email, and it was, how about Clay Center and Poe? Yes, we're gonna have the Raptor system out there as well, and our officers are gonna be making their rounds out there too. Already started today? Okay. Well, we're gonna be collecting, and like I said, it's never too late to ask a question. You can email us, you can message us, etc. Always reach out to us, and we will add to our Q&A to help you guys out with that. I do want to thank you all first of all for being here. Thank you for the support. Thank you so much for all of your support. I know all the districts around us appreciate it. And I also want to thank the media for being here. Thank you. I know Caller Times was here a little while ago, and there she is right there. Thank you so much. And also Channel 6, you were live. Thumbs up, right? Thumbs up. Thank you so much. It's so important that we get the word out. This is just too important. And we don't want the passing of those children to be in vain. We're saving lives now because of unfortunately what happened, their sacrifice. And so we just need to keep that in the forefront because it is so easy to forget about shootings. I mean, there was a Highland parade, park parade that just happened recently. And that kid, had tried to commit suicide a few years before and the parents didn't know about it. Things like that. We've got to keep in communication with each other and help each other out. If we contact you and let you know that we're worried about your child, and we offer them some mental health services, that should be confidential. We have done that before, and a parent will literally go on social media and say, can you believe they told me that my kid has mental issues? That is not helping your kid. That is not helping the child. Please help us educate each other. People will make mistakes, but we just have to work together for our kids' sake. Please. Thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. Have a great day.